Aloha and welcome to Muro's Temple, the podcast, where we explore the deeper work behind our Hawaii location and online platform. I invite you to join me as we return home to your body's feminine wisdom. Hello, my loves, and welcome back. So today we're talking about star energy and portal energy, which is another one of my favorite topics that for many years I felt and considered it to be a totally different aspect of life, meaning I never related it to my day-to-day life, and I didn't understand its relationship to the work that I do with the divine feminine. And I always like to say, because I feel this so deeply, that who I am is inevitably and inextricably connected to the work that I do and the service that I show up in. And I say that because I genuinely feel like my entire life is a direct reflection of the way that I am asked to show up, like as within, so without. And I never in the past understood how this connection to the stars and portal energy was a part of it until recently, which is the beautiful thing I get to do, is to sit in the question of it all for as long as I need to until it lands and grounds, it becomes embodied, and I can then share it and share it with others to support the journey of others. So as I am recording this now, it is almost the 555 portal. And what that means is that May 5th of the year 23, and when we talk about portals, it's very connected to numerology. And to be very clear, I am not a numerologist nor an astrologist, but I was awakened to this aspect of life in the very early stages of my awakening and activation process. So what happens in these times, aka portal, that come actually at this point, they come very consistently. So in my day-to-day experience, I can live this kind of portal energy monthly, sometimes every 2 months, but it is pretty consistent. So what exactly is a portal? It's when the literal alignment of the stars, of the earth, and our bodies align. And it's kind of like putting a lock in a key. You turn that key and there's a doorway that opens. And I literally can like feel and see, imagine the doorway into a long hallway. And on one end of the hallway is the stars, the entirety of the universe. And on the other end of that doorway is you standing there. And so in our perspective, in the way that we are taught to see this reality, there is a linear hallway that connects the body, your physical body, and the stars, which could be bazillion light years away. Yeah. In actuality, and this has been proven by NASA and quantum mechanics, in actuality, there is no linear connection. It's one. So now if you can just kind of drop that hallway in your mind's eye, like erase it, and then combine yourself with the stars, like one end of the hallway to the other. Now there is no space and time, and now it just has merged. So this is what happened to me over a decade ago, except I had no way of articulating it. I had no idea what was happening, and I had to be initiated via meditation through the inner realms, through the inner world, let's say. My job now is to share with you the practicality of it all. What does this all mean and how does this support us? So inevitably, there's a massive awakening of consciousness. And what I'm feeling lately is it's like the external world is becoming very loud. I mean, it's always been loud, but it's becoming very, very, very loud. And I have a feeling, and this is just sort of an intuitive gut feeling, that it has to do with the increase of technology use, the increase of Wi-Fi, you can call it 5G. There's not a positive or negative link to it all. I'm not getting into that. What I'm getting to is that energetically, there's a lot more static in the air, the physical and the non-physical. And that has repercussions, whether we want to admit to them or not. And what I'm finding is there's this like radical, extreme, beautiful and divine requirement for myself. And again, this is how my process started. There's this need to go within. Like, I want to close my eyes and I want to turn my gaze within. Now, the issue is, like, we can only do that so often, right? In our day-to-day reality. How many of us have time to do that from day to day? Maybe you have 5 minutes. Maybe you're lucky you have half an hour. But the truth of the matter is, like, we really have to start as a society creating a routine and a ritual to balance out the static of the external world. And again, that static is not good or bad. It's just there. And so the perfect metaphor is, okay, so now, of course, we moved back to the Northeast and I get to be in New York City, which is the extreme polarity of Hawaii. And wow, do I love to be in that city, because every single millisecond that I'm there, I learn and I learn and I learn, and I'm continuously tested. And I'm like, wow, this is incredible. And the metaphor is, the heavier the density and the more noise and the more people and the more distraction, that I'm around, the more I have an opportunity to dig deeper inside and open the eyes within and find my center. And so that's the practice at this time. You no longer need to be in Manhattan to do that. You need to do that within your own life. It doesn't matter where you live. And so this portal energy requires us to receive and be with ourselves, the entirety of ourselves, the quantum multidimensional aspect of ourselves. And every time we push that away or we look the other way, what happens is we get actually pulled back towards it. So the more that we sort of want to push it away, in actuality, what's happening is that we're pulling it closer to us. And coming back to that hallway that exists between your body and the stars, when this alignment happens and the doors open, there's like an electromagnetic flush of energy, and it's like an increase of light. It's like, imagine the train just accelerated by 300,000 miles an hour. This is what happens with portal energy. The stars align, your body aligns, your cell, your DNA, everything in the cosmos, because we are one with the cosmos, And I don't say that lightly. Like, I really have had to sit with and embody that aspect of oneness with the cosmos. And so when we are opening the door to that, these portals are an acceleration of that. So what does that mean on a day-to-day basis? That means that during portal energy, there is an acceleration of absolutely everything in your reality. And if you could just for a moment imagine your physical experience. It's funny because my husband and I always have this conversation. Like, he's the very physical one in the relationship, he's like, everything is physicality, you know? And I'm like, no, everything is energetics. And of course, we're both correct, right? And we're both wrong. So if you could just imagine for a moment your reality being fully energetic, everything in your reality and your experience has an energetic imprint. And when we align to these portals, that energetic imprint is what is actually increasing in speed by 300,000 miles an hour. So that means that everything, as your reality is a reflection of you, everything within and around you will be amplified 300,000 miles an hour. I'm just using a random number. And depending on what you're meant to experience and learn at that time, let's say, random example, your relationships in one portal will be magnified 100,000%. The next portal, your relationship perhaps with money. The next portal, your ability to love and see a different perspective. The next portal, the foundations of your life. This spiral of amplification. So when we amplify light, we get to see the unseen. We get to see the parts of our lives that we were blind to. And really the awakening and the ascension process is how much more can we see with a capital S? Because there's always something that we cannot see until we can see everything around us as pure love. But until then, we have to continue opening up the gates of vision. And so these portals are an acceleration in our consciousness because there's an infiltration of light coming in from the stars to support us in that seeing process. Now, this can really throw us off. So the second part of this podcast is the embodiment aspect. And that has been a 10-year plus journey for me. Because again, for so long, I was like, why am I so connected to these portals? Without even thinking about them, without even looking at a calendar, my body will react instantly the week before the portal comes in. Like nobody had to tell me the numerology. None of that came in. And that's why sometimes I refrain from expressing or sharing that part, because if somebody is not open to numerology or astrology, where they're like, well, I'm just going to tune them off because it's not important to me and not into that. I get you. I wasn't either. And we actually don't need that. It's just a beautiful physical explanation of what's happening. But I was not connected to astrology, numerology, none of it. It was just a visceral reaction in my body. And so the embodiment of star wisdom is actually that, is being able to articulate it, yes, being able to expand our awareness to merge with the cosmos so that we can receive the lessons in a conscious way. That's really what it's all about. So if I know my body is telling me, let's say I haven't even looked at a calendar, this actually happened to me today. I didn't realize it was the 555 portal, but my body has been telling me this for days now. And I go into exactly what that means in other podcast episodes and the different courses that I offer. Like if you're wondering, what do you mean that your body has been telling you that? Go back into other episodes and look up portals and fasting with portals and galactic gateways. So when we can locate ourselves, when we can center ourselves in what is going on above, below, within, and without, and when we can articulate what is happening, and we understand and we bring awareness to this process of increasing the light quotient, increasing our ability to see more love through us and around us, we can engage this energy in a conscious way. And one thing that I notice during these portals, eclipses, a lot of eclipses, solstices, equinoxes, these are all considered portals because there's an extreme increase of light quotient coming onto the planet at these times. This is why ancient civilizations have always tracked these moments of time. So what I see often during this time is that a lot of people, and this was where I was also consistently looping in, was getting caught up and kind of in the spiral of this energy. And so what does that look like? That looks like, oh my God, I just need a week to like be tapped out, or I need to process, quote unquote, for an entire week. What is happening is that your body is not able to ground this light, and so it turns off. And this is what was happening to me for many years. So again, being able to create practices and the articulation of what's happening and grounding it and embodying it is going to become very, very, very important, because as we awaken our consciousness, more and more of us will start to feel these cosmic portals. Many of the children that are coming in are already in tune to them and already reacting to them. So it's important that parents start to understand what is happening. They don't think that their child has ADD or there's something wrong with them. They're actually still in tune with the consciousness of the cosmos, because this is ultimately our ancestors, what we are made up. We are made up of stardust. And coming back to, and I will start to close this podcast, coming back to being able to consciously engage with this light and these eclipses and these portals will support our process of, quote unquote, being able to ground this light into our bodies, being able to increase the ability to see through the eyes of love. This is the journey that we're all taking back home. So, if this kind of conversation lights you up, if you feel like you've experienced, or perhaps you are at this time when you're listening to this, experiencing, because right now, like I said, we're close to the 555 portal and we're stepping towards the summer solstice. And the summer solstice is one of those points of the year that is a magnified portal. And we have to prepare for that consciously. We can't just wait for it to happen or just wait for the reality around us to like crumble in a positive way, yeah? Because when things crumble, it's a good thing. But let's not even call it good or bad. It just is, but it's in support of our return to love, yeah? So as we approach the June solstice and we also move through this portal and you're feeling this, you're like, something in here resonates. I don't know what it is. My mind can't put it into a box. Like, I don't really get it. Or maybe I totally get it and I need support. I know my body's reacting to these stars. I know there's something happening with these portals. If there's something that lands for you, I invite you to join me in Divine I Am. Divine I Am is a 9-week journey that came in during the time that I was living in Hawaii as a way to ground and embody what is happening on the quantum so that we can be the walking stars that we are and not have to be pulled in different directions by the external stimuli, by the winds of this light quotient. The way I see it is like it's a hurricane of light. And the hurricane of light really tends to create a lot of pulling away and ripping apart of the things that no longer serve. And that can be, that can take a toll on our day-to-day experiences. That's not an easy thing to navigate. But again, the process is, can we continue to open our hearts one layer at a time? That's connected to our pineal gland, that's connected to our womb and our root chakras. So it's all connected. And the more we can create a steady container and a ritual and an understanding of what's happening, the more we can walk through these portals in a consistent, graceful, and supportive way, so that we don't get taken by the storm, quote unquote, of light. We can actually embrace the flow of incoming light. And the best part of it is, since we'll be together during the time of Divine I Am through the June solstice, I am including Magnify Your Radiance, 3 Days of Darkness. And this is a revamp of an older course, which was originally 3-day fast. And this is how my process started, with deep bouts of fasting with this portal light. And through time, I have realized that fasting is not the only way. I do feel that fasting is a huge part of it, but sometimes this portal energy asks you not to fast. And so I have revamped that course to embrace and be able to land for you according to whatever it is that you need to do at that time. But ultimately, the purpose of Magnify Your Radiance is your ability to create a strong container so that you can turn your gaze within and pull away from the external stimuli and increase the magnificent radiance that lies within you. And the only way to do that is to turn within. You actually cannot do that energetically by showing up externally. So there has to be a protocol and a process for you to turn your gaze within and drop in. And that's what Magnify Your Radiance is. It's this yearning for myself. Every single course that comes through is like actual medicine for me. And that's how everything starts, right? So this yearning of like, I'm not being pulled away by the chaos. I'm actually going to consciously choose to use this acceleration of light to magnify my own radiance and anchor into what is being asked of me at this time. And so Magnify Your Radiance is a container where we get to do that together, and you get to explore what that looks like for you. And I give you many options, one of which is fasting, but others of which will support you and however it is that you need to move through those 3 days of darkness. And it's a beautiful, beautiful experience. It's the way that my process began, is really spending a tremendous amount of time in the darkness and being able to really open the true eyes that are within us. Because we don't open the eyes within light, we open them within the darkness. We open them within the womb. And this is the purpose of Magnify Your Radiance. So that course will be included in the Divine I Am journey, but you can also just do that course alone. So I will be running the 3 days of darkness, Magnify Your Radiance, during the June solstice. So if you just feel a call to go within and not necessarily have to go fully into the awakening and the ascension journey, then I invite you to join us for that. All right, my loves. So this process of embodying the stars and the portals will forever continue, and I am here for it. I hope that you're here for it too. Check out the links below for registration dates and so much more goodness. Okay, my loves. Until next time. Mwah. Mahalo for being here with me today. And as usual, if you'd like to learn more about what we do at our Hawaii location or online, explore the courses, the mentorship, or the events, go to www.murosetemple.com. See you soon.